Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here and welcome back to the railway. For the past several months I have been secretly developing some brand new wagons, and today is the date where I'm revealing them and also launching them. For the past couple of years I've been producing these plastic Era 1 wagons, and people seem to really love these. For 2 years on the trot, these have sold out overnight, they've been crazily popular, and I've really enjoyed just being able to produce some good quality Era 1 wagons. However, I will admit that these models were at the limit of what it's possible to do with an FDM or plastic 3D printer, both in terms of quality of the parts and also in terms of the detail of the parts. So this year, 2025, I am going to be launching for the first time ever some all-resin wagons. These are going to be miles ahead of what I've done before, both in terms of quality and in terms of detail. So the first thing I'm launching today is a train pack, and it is this. So this is a fully resin train pack that comes with 2 open wagons, coal wagons, and 1 flatbed wagon. Now these are intended to be generic Era 1 goods wagons which you can use with any of the Era 1 locomotives, but they are based on real-life wagons. So these are drawings done by Breese many years ago, and they're drawings of wagons from the London and Birmingham Railway, which I've been able to recreate very faithfully in 00 scale. Each of these models comes with a load, as you can see, so that's coal loads for the wagons and then a crate load for the flatbed. These models support Hornby's Era 1 style chain couplings, and they also support NEM couplings too. More on this later on. Now the thing with resin, unfortunately it is more expensive than plastic, so everything about these models is better than the plastic wagons, except for the price. They are a bit more expensive. So for the 3 wagon pack, these are available for £54.99 on Etsy, which I say is quite expensive. It is compared with the plastic ones, but that's still only about £18 per wagon. So compared with some of the other Era 1 wagons out there, I won't mention any other brands in this particular video, but you know the ones I mean. They are cheaper and they do offer quite a bit more. The next model I'm releasing is not a train pack, it is just a standalone model, and it's absolutely nuts, but I've been really looking forward to showing this off. It's called a bandwagon. Now, am I partly producing this just because it's called a bandwagon and I can use the phrase Sam's train is jumping on the bandwagon? Yes, absolutely. But hopefully when you see the model, you can see the other reasons why I wanted to produce this. So here it is. This is the Liverpool and Manchester bandwagon, which is another full resin, fully painted wagon, complete with 4 fully painted musicians. And this is not a fictional wagon either. This comes from the opening day of the Liverpool and Manchester Railway, when a special train driven by George Stephenson himself ran along the railway, and that consisted of the locomotive Northumbrian, 2 coaches containing the Duke of Wellington and the railway's directors and other very important people, and also on this train was a bandwagon aboard which was a military band. Now the thing is, nobody knows for sure what this bandwagon looked like. There's a couple of different conflicting drawings. As you can see though, I've gone with this drawing for my bandwagon, which we think is probably the least accurate of the drawings, but it did mean that I was able to create this beautiful gold leaf patterning effect on the side, which I just thought would make a beautiful looking early Victorian sort of passenger wagon, if you want. It's not really a passenger coach, is it? Goodness knows what we call this. But yeah, as a semi-realistic, semi-novelty item, this is something that I've known I've wanted to create for absolutely ages. So finally, this is something that's available. Now in terms of the price, obviously producing fully painted 00 scale figures like this is not a cheap process. And I am aware of some people selling painted 3D printed figures for over £20 a piece. Now I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, and I'm sure those figures are very high quality and worth over £20 a piece. But the thing is, I can't make my figures cost that much, because 4 figures, that would be £80, and then plus the cost of the wagon, we'd be talking well over £100 for this little wagon and the 4 figures. And I think that would just be unacceptable. It would be hypocritical for me to do that. I'm always on about the price of models. To charge you over £100 for this would be ridiculous. So instead, I've done the whole lot for £29.99, including the fully painted figures. And these are available to order right now on Etsy, just as the other pack was. Now, bear in mind, as a result, these are not £20 figures. They are painted by hand by me. I will freely admit that I'm not brilliant at painting with a brush, but I have done my best, and I think at least from a distance, these figures look decent. Although, of course, if you wanted to go in and pick out some more of the details or tidy them up a little bit, you absolutely can do that. So there you have it, the Liverpool and Manchester bandwagon, which is limited edition, only 170 of these made, so they are extremely limited. Links down below if you want to pick up one of these. Now obviously these 2 products that I've revealed so far, they are a little bit on the pricey side. They're more expensive than the wagons I've produced before. But I still want to have a more affordable option to you. So for the 3rd year on the trot, I'm bringing back the plastic models. As I say, I've launched wagons from this range before, and they've always sold out overnight, so they are back again by popular demand. Now bear in mind, these models are plastic and they're not as detailed as the new resin ones, but they are cheaper. That makes them more affordable. So this latest pack comes with 3 wagons. You've got 1 double bunker coal wagon with loads, 1 single bunker coal wagon with a load, and 1 flatbed with a new load, which is a load of crates. These also come with both chain couplings and NEM tension lock couplings, and crucially they're much cheaper than the resin models at £34.99 for the pack of 3, so that's about £12 per wagon, so hopefully that's a much more affordable option. This pack is also available on Etsy right now, and there are links below if you'd like to pick any of these up. So without any further ado, let me go to the table and let me unbox some of these packs for you. So we'll start with the brand new train pack then. This is the L&BR train pack, which I've put in its own box just to better protect the wagons. So inside here we've got some peanuts, which is the true value of this train pack. So I hope you enjoy those. They taste excellent, although legally I'm required to tell you not to consume these because they are not for consumption. So I don't know why I made that joke. I don't know. Let's just move on. Right, so 3 wagons, of course. Let's pop these out. You've also got a load for the flatbed. I guess I'll show you that now. Yeah, just a simple FDM load. I wanted them to have a load, so I put this together just so that all 3 wagons, not just the coal wagons, have got loads. So yeah, there you go. And then an accessories pack, and I'll go through some of these accessories in just a second. For now though, let me open up some of these wagons. Let's start with the coal wagons, which I think is one of these. It's a little bit hard to tell though. So just gently, obviously gently is the word here because these are resin wagons, so they're a lot more detailed. There's a lot more little parts that could break off compared with the old plastic models. But there you have it, that's a closer look. So as you can see, we've got brake rigging now on these wagons, only on one side. If I turn it around the other side, you can see we don't have brakes on this side, so it's single-sided braking. There's the coal load, of course, which is removable. There you go. So if you want to run these without the coal load, you can do. And you can see we've got the painted planking on the inside. And if you look down the end of the model, you can see that even though these are compatible with NEM couplings, there is nothing unrealistic dropping down from the underside of the chassis. So you might be wondering how on earth these can be NEM compatible if they don't have NEM pockets. Well, I'm glad you asked, although clearly you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So the answer, of course, is in the accessories pack, and we have these tiny little NEM pockets. So what you do is you take a NEM tension lock coupling, you insert it into the NEM pocket like so, and then all you do is take this assembly, move it near the bottom of the wagon where magnets will grab onto it, And then, lo and behold, you've got a model with a NEM tension lock coupling. And the advantage of that, of course, is that then you can couple this to any British locomotive or to the rest of another British train. Or if you want to use a different coupling besides the tension lock, you can do that and couple it to all sorts of different things. But it isn't going to compromise the accuracy of the wagon. If you don't want to do that, if you'd rather just have the chains, you can pull that off. And then, as you can see, we've got a perfectly realistic underframe with just a couple of magnets at either end, which don't protrude downwards in any way. That is the key feature of this. And the thing is, obviously, this coupling is held on just by a magnet, so it's quite easy to remove again. And actually, because these Era 1 trains are quite light, it doesn't matter too much. You can actually couple a fair bit to one of these before the magnets will give way and break. But if you do want to couple a little bit more to this, then I have these couplings. These are NEM bars, which obviously contain two NEM pockets, one for either end of the wagon, and this is a sturdier coupling. So what you do with these is you have to flip the wagon upside down. You do have to pop the wheels out, which is really, really easy. And with the wheels out, I can show you the detail we've got here. So the backs of the springs, as you can see, are detailed, and we've got rivets and bolts and such on the inside of the chassis beams, as you can see, which is utterly unnecessary, but I thought I can do this, so why not? Anyway, with the wheels out, you can then fit this coupling bar, which goes on nice and snugly like that. And then if you were to fit tension lock couplings to it, which I will do, and these packs do, yeah, that's the right way. They only come with two sets of NEM couplings because ideally you're supposed to use the chains with these, which I'll show you in just a moment. But if you wanted to supply full sets of couplings for these, you could use them. And the way this works is that now those magnets are not bearing the load of the train, because if, let's say, the wagon's being pulled from this end, the coupling bar will take the whole brunt of the load and pass it through to the other coupling on the other end. So actually all those magnets are doing is taking the weight of the wagon. And then of course with those fitted you can reapply the wheels, which is really easy to do. And then you've got a wagon with a NEM coupling on both sides. So there you go. And hopefully you can see why I decided not to make these standard, because obviously they do look a little bit silly. So these are intended to be used mainly with the chain couplings, but if you want to, you can NEMamize these. So let me open up the rest of the wagons and we'll talk about the other accessories and such. So this I think is the other coal wagon, which is the same, as you can see, yeah, coal load, obviously no NEM pockets as standard. And then we've got the third wagon, which is actually derived from the coal wagon. This is a flatbed. Again, I'm always looking for that variety that you see in old plates and drawings of Era 1 trains. So yeah, similar wagon, same kind of chassis on this model, except of course it's got the flatbed onto which you can fit the load of crates, just so that this has actually got something to carry. Right, let's talk about the accessories then. So you get these tiny little chains with these resin wagons, which are insane. Again, I'm just amazed by what these resin 3D printers can do. You've got lots of spares, as you can see, but you actually only need two per wagon. So how I'm going to fit these, I've got a bit of glue, white glue, splattered onto a little bit of paper here. All I'm going to recommend you do is just take a tiny little bit of the white glue, only needs to be a tiny spot, pop that onto the end of the chain, and then gently ease that into the locating hole. And of course the white glue doesn't set too quickly, which gives you a little while to manipulate the parts and make sure they're in the right spot. Super glue sets super quickly, funnily enough, which makes it harder to adjust, and it also can leave that sort of misting effect that looks so bad on a model. White glue doesn't do that, which is why I recommend using that. So here we go, second chain. You might want to use tweezers for this because it's a fiddly old job and they are tiny parts, but there you go. And once they're fitted, they'll look like that. And once the glue dries, then you won't be able to see the glue spots. So I'll do that to the rest of these wagons, then we'll get them down onto the track and I'll show you how these look. And as you can see, they are quite free rolling. Right, another year, another new axle box design. And the reason I've had to redesign the axle boxes this time is because the previous resin wagons I made had axle boxes which were deliberately a bit too tight. And that was to allow you to place those physically weathered wagons into a siding somewhere and not have them roll away. But obviously tight axle boxes here would have been an absolute disaster because these models are supposed to be hauled along by very lightweight Era 1 steam locomotives. So a new design, I'm actually quite surprised by how free rolling and smooth I've been able to make these. But if I just demonstrate the Gordon's Hill rolling test for you, you can see how this goes. Now, there's almost no weight to these wagons. They're very, very light, so there's no momentum there. And yet, as you can see, they make it just about past the signal box. So very, very easy for your locos to haul. So as you can see, I've coupled just one pack of wagons up to Hornby's Tiger. Obviously though, if you wanted to, you could daisy chain multiple packs together, allowing you to make much longer trains, of course. But here's just one pack for now with Hornby's Tiger. Here we go. Show you how these get on around the track. And here they go, around the curves. Yeah, the extra detail is just epic on these. I've wanted to do this for ages, really ever since getting a resin 3D printer. So finally, super detailed Era 1 wagons. Much larger wagons actually than the plastic ones I've done before. So yeah, more substantial wagons, and of course they are fully compatible with the plastic wagons. So you could mix these with the plastic wagons to create a more varied and realistic train. Obviously, Era 1 trains were cobbled together with all sorts of different wagons. So in my mind, at least, the more variety in a train, the better. And I'll show you something a bit like that later on in the video. But there you have it, the London and Birmingham wagons working nicely behind Tiger. Right, let's talk about the bandwagon. All right then, let's move on to the bandwagon then. Still love the name of that thing. And the wagon itself comes in a little bag like this, so let me pop that out, show it to you. Very, very tiny wagon, this one. And here it is up close and personal for you, with the gold leaf effect, of course, which my lovely sister was able to do for me. So massive thank you to Jess for making this look so good and neat. I think that's better than I could have done. And yeah, as you can see, very nicely detailed wagon with a fully detailed underframe. But as you can also see, sadly, there was no way to incorporate NEM pockets into this because the pockets would have had to have gone where the axles are, which would have made that impossible. So with these, they're just compatible with the chain style couplings. So they come with the flat style, but they're also compatible with Hornby's curved chains as well. Right, so let's talk about what accessories you get with this wagon. Those come in this bag. So obviously the big thing that you can see is the little limited edition certificate / thank you card. So that tells you what number of the limited edition it is, and it's just a little thank you on there from me. Then of course you've got the figures. Let me try and hold these together. There you go. So you actually get one conductor, one drummer holding a big drum, and then two trumpeters to make up a little band. Like I say, not the greatest paint job in the world, but I did my best, and I think they actually do look pretty decent, at least from a distance, if not under a microscope up close. But yeah, I'll fit those in just a second. Then of course you've got your chains, just like with the other wagons, and also some of the smaller cosmetic chains, like the other wagons as well. So I guess I will start by fitting those. So I'll identify the end that they need to go on. I've got some tweezers to help with this. So I'll just, once again, grab with the tweezers, dip into the glue again, and then just insert it into the locating hole. There we go. And I'll do it with the other one. Try and use a little bit less of the glue this time. Just a little touch. All right, that looks good. There we go. Set those fairly straight. Okay, and then I will, I guess, fit the figures, which is the slightly scarier part, and I'm going to use the certificate here. Which I probably shouldn't do, but that's just to stop it rolling away. I guess I'll do the conductor first then, because I want the conductor to be facing the rest of the band members. So just a little touch to the glue on the feet. Make sure there's a little bit of glue on there. Not too much though. There we go. And yeah, I'll put him towards this end, I think, facing the other band members. And the trickiest part about this is putting the rest of the figures in without knocking over the figure you've already put in. So I guess the solution to that would be to do one at a time and let them dry, but obviously that's slow and infuriating. So I'm going to attempt not to do that and do them all in one go, but I may regret that. So I'm going to put this trumpeter here like that. I'll put the drummer in the middle, I think, just because I like that arrangement, but of course you can put them in as you want. Okay, a little bit of glue. Let's put the drummer next to this trumpeter here. Yep. Make sure the trumpeter's not gone askew. And then the last trumpeter. Never thought I'd be making a video gluing trumpeters onto wagons before. Okay, and then you can go at a bit of an angle over here, I think. Yeah, that looks good. Now, I'm not going to lift this up to show you right now because I don't want to disturb them. But once the glue has dried, I'll pop this down onto the track and I'll show you what it looks like all together. So here's a very rough recreation of that train ridden by the Duke of Wellington. I've got Rocket instead of Northumbrian. I don't have such ornamental coaches as were used on that train, but this is the bandwagon. So here it goes. Very, very cool to see this together at last. Here we go with Stephenson's Rocket. There you go. So I just really love the novelty of this. And what makes it so awesome, I think, is that today this would be considered ludicrous. I mean, you would not be able to have musicians standing in an open wagon without any safety, playing instruments as they bump along a railway. I mean, the thought of that is just ridiculous. At best, they would get their lips busted on their instruments, wouldn't they? At worst, they'd topple off and probably meet their demise. But in the mid-1800s, it's just possible that this could have happened. You know, they didn't pay that much consideration to health and safety. So yeah, even though this would never happen today, I can totally imagine this happening in the Victorian times. And that makes this a very unique, I think, railway wagon. I mean, yeah, there's nothing else quite like this. So it's silly, but I am absolutely in love with the concept of this. Yes, lots of giggling while I was designing this. But it's come out nicely, so there you have it, the Liverpool and Manchester bandwagon. Let's move on and talk about the final pack. Finally then, let's take a look at the more affordable train pack made up of wagons that I produced over the last couple of years. So let's have a look. This time they are actually all different. Yeah, 3 different wagons. This one is the classic dual bunker coal wagon, as you can see, which has 2 openings for coal loads, which are of course included. Then we've got, I think this is the flatbed. Again, it's really hard to tell while they're still in the plastic what each one is. But yeah, that is the flatbed. And again, I've got a load for this. So pretty much, yeah, every single wagon I am peddling today has a load included, which is pretty cool. And then of course, finally, we've got the other coal bunker, which is the large single bunker rather than the 2 smaller bunkers. So here, that one is. Similar sort of wagon to the first one, of course. And then in terms of accessories, we've got a similar bag. And this contains coal loads. So those coal loads fit into the tops of the wagons, as you can see. There you go. You've got the big coal load, you've got the 2 smaller coal loads, which I can't pick up. Yes, I can. Which fit into the double bunker of the double bunker coal wagon, which looks like that. Yep, so you've got a full coal load there. Then you've got another crate load, just like with the other pack, which goes onto this wagon. So this wagon's only been done before with a load of barrels. So now we've got this one with crates. Then with this pack, coupling wise, you get 2 tension lock couplings, so you can convert between the Era 1 couplings and your standard NEM tension locks. And then you've got the standard L&BR chain couplings once again, which will fit onto the little NEM coupling adapters supplied with these wagons. So everything I'm selling today can be coupled to each other as well, which is quite important. Right, let's get this train pack down onto the track then and just show you what this looks like with maybe a different Era 1 engine. So there you have it then, this train pack I've coupled up to Stephenson's Rocket, just again to show that they are very easy to haul. And I've used my couplings between my wagons, but for the Hornby Stephenson's Rocket coupling, I've used the Hornby chain link coupling, just because, oh, I've gone and knocked it off the track, just because they work a little bit better with the Hornby models I've found. Anyway, let me just demo this. You've seen these run before, so I don't need to go into too much detail about this, but here they go around the track. Alright, so there they go. I think these are the cheapest Era 1 ready-to-run wagons you can get. At least are the ones I'm aware of. So they're a good budget offering. But now what I want to try and do is put a much bigger train together, just to show A, what kind of variety you can now make with these wagons in terms of an Era 1 goods train, and B, I'm going to do it using a single magnetic coupling, just to show that the magnets don't just break off the moment you couple more than, say, 3 wagons. So let me see what I've got, and let's see what kind of train I can put together. Okay, here we go. That's the Rapido Lion with 10 mixed wagons. I've put a couple of Hornby coal wagons in there as well, just for more variety. But these are just some of the Era 1 wagons that I've made over the past couple of years. There's even more than just this. So yeah, you can make some crazy variety in the train. Plus, I've got the bandwagon on the back, of course. So there you go. I really hope you like these wagons. Like I say, I've been working on these for months, and I've not really been talking much about these except to members. Members have heard about these before. To everyone else, hopefully this will be quite a surprise. And like I say, hopefully you really enjoy these. So they're all available on Etsy right now, links in the description. If you do decide to pick up a pack or a couple of packs or whatever, thank you so much. Obviously the money goes into the channel to help me create more wagons in the future and to help support new content as well, new reviews, new videos, new content for the channel all the time. So yeah, if you do decide to pick any of this up, I'm really grateful to you. Thank you for supporting what I do. For now though, thank you so much for watching, and please do comment down below, let me know what you think about these wagons. I will leave it there though for now, so thanks again for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Alright, cheers folks.